a weak sterling, I'm afraid, is no good news for anybody.
Fabio, in your opinion, what are the economic consequences of this referendum?
Well, I don't think there will be losers or winners. I believe we all lose. In fact, should Britain vote to remain in Europe, but with a very slight majority, and this seems to be the outcome nowadays, then of course the Prime Minister will not be able to ignore the strong push coming from the other half of the population, and he will have to weaken his hold on important matters by the day. Should the outcome be different and England vote to exit the European Union, then of course there will be short-term and long-term implications. I believe also there will be some very difficult times for England itself, because I believe England may even disaggregate under the push of Scotland and of Ireland wishing to gain their independence, and this will have every repercussion geographically also in Europe, where the secessionists will put the strain and puts at risk the whole union. Now, economically, as astonishingly as it may appear, the greatest majority of UK exports, almost 50% of them, as we can see, are within the European Union. Whilst, just as a comparison, we take China, which is a huge country and the third largest partner for UK exports, barely represents 6% of UK exports. That's nothing. So, of course, exiting the Union will have repercussions for this intra-Europe trade, without forgetting that starting business negotiations, even from a single country, even one that nowadays ranks as the sixth biggest economic power, has much less chances, if at all, to be more successful than a negotiation coming from a much bigger realities such as Europe. Now, on the currency markets, we have already seen that it's been discounting 70% of a Brexit. In fact, if we see the evolution of the currency exchange between dollar and sterling, we see that in the past year, sterling has lost 12% of value, passing from 160 to 140. Then now it's hovering around 145 level, and with obviously some tactical and technical corrections every time there is news on the polls. But should Britain exit Europe, then there is a huge risk for this downward spiraling movement to continue up to the 130 level we have last seen in 1989, a time where, of course, the currency market was very different. So we will be in uncharted territory. Now, it is also true that industrial production in England is slowing down. Therefore, one may argue that a weaker currency is a great benefit in order to help exports. But this is not true in England, because the greatest majority of GDP is provided by the tertiary sector rather than the industrial sector. I'm afraid, in my opinion, Britain has been living by far above its means. And this shows quite clearly in the structural deficit we have of 7%. Now, in his latest budget, Osborne has been confronting this problem, facing this problem by increasing taxes and decreasing budget spending. But I'm afraid this is not enough. There is still a quite big need to fill, and this is provided by hefty inflows of foreign direct investment. Now, for foreign direct investment to happen, of course, you must have stability and a strong currency. Therefore, a weak sterling, I'm afraid, is no good news for anybody.
And Fabio, I'm wondering if you could quickly sum up any advice that you have for investors.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, we've been concentrating only on Britain and Brexit, and we didn't touch base with many other important matters, such as the potentially disruptive hawkish cycle the Federal Reserve would like to implement. We didn't speak about the US elections, and we didn't even mention commodities and oil, which have had an incredible swing in prices lately. And these are all important matters when you want to build a balanced and diversified portfolio. So if you want to keep on in the same direction and talk about Britain only, I'm afraid that whatever the outcome of the referendum, we may not be able to avoid the disruptions. Therefore, what to suggest to investors? Well, I believe we still are and benefit from a low volatility environment. So it's probably a good call to try and build a long options portfolio. And if one wants to take a longer term stance, then I believe that an arbitrage where you sell sterling and UK-based assets against buying their peers in Europe may prove to be successful, even if Britain were to remain in Europe.
Fantastic. Well, Fabio, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your insights.
Thanks to you for having me again, Jessica.
Well, that's all for myself and Fabio, but if you did like this video, do like and comment on dukascopy.tv.